Welcome to Fearless Not Careerless. I'm Darren Mell. If you're stepping into the real world or trying to figure out how to move forward without losing your mind, this podcast is for you. I spent more than a decade hiring, training, and leading young professionals, and here's what I know. Talent matters. Work ethic matters. But emotional intelligence, integrity, and how you show up every day, that's what actually builds a career. Each week in under 12 minutes, we break down the real lessons that no one teaches you in school. Because being fearless doesn't mean being reckless. It means building something real. Let's get into it. Hi, and welcome to the very first episode of the Fearless Not Careerless podcast. And I'm your host, Darren Mell. And I titled this episode to kick it off as Welcome to the Jungle, We've Got Fun and Games. And for those of you listening in for the first time, I thought I'd just to take a little bit of time to introduce myself and maybe tell you why I started all this and how I want to help you. And whether you're getting your high school diploma and maybe you're going to go on and get a trade and maybe not go off to college, the one thing that time has told me, and you're talking or listening to somebody that actually has a master's degree in a field that I don't even remember what I got it in. But, you know, when you think about it from your lens, either you're just graduating high school or about to, or finishing whatever degree you're getting in college, or on your way towards that, or finishing up a 1 or 2 year degree instead of getting a 4-year degree, whatever it is, you know, congratulations. And you made it. You know, whether you're about to step into the working world, and as they say, the tassel's on the other side. And this is a time, I mean, probably even before, to take a really long look, you know, at yourself, a hard look. Because if you're anything like I was, you're probably asking yourselves, now what? And I'm a late 50s Gen Xer, but you know, one of the things that even myself, you think back to those times, you don't even know where you're going to go. You know, very few of the universities or high schools actually help you land a job after graduation. Supposedly the name of the college that you attend is kind of your VIP pass to a great job and a career, but is that really how it works? Well, from my experience, you know, attending what I called a directional, inexpensive school in Illinois, back in the late 80s, early 90s, it didn't come with any special treatment, no golden ticket, just me stepping into the real world where reality pretty much hit me like a punch in the face, or jumping into frozen waters like the Polar Bear Club does. It was shocking. You know, since I earned my bachelor's degree in 1990 and my master's in 1991, I've been in the working world. So, you know, as I speak to you today in 2026, it's over 35 years of work experience. And holy shit, I've seen a lot. And some things I wish I had done differently. And other things were just the hard truths of what it is versus what it really is. And the it I'm talking about is reality. And for you, you know, one of the things that I've noticed, time passes, whether we believe it or not, is gonna pass. And I think it back to, you know, I basically describe myself as a wide-eyed 23-year-old with a mullet haircut back in 1991 when I finished my master's degree, to a low-paying job in a low-opportunity career field. And my place in the world now is more set than you all are. But one thing that I want you all to understand is that my experience, so I'm a self-published author as of last year. Writing bug hit me, and I'll explain why I started writing. And the first book that I wrote was what the name of this podcast is. It's called Fearless Not Careerless. And as I wrote the book, and I'll explain to you kind of a little bit more in detail here as we go along, but it was really, it ended up being a retrospective on my career and sort of jokingly in the book making fun of myself of the things that I didn't know, but kind of where you're at in life dictates how much time and effort you can put into building your career. But, we can't stop time, and that's a fact. But some of the most wonderful things that time brings you is experience. And working in a specific field not only gives you experience, but exposes you to the tendencies of people. And we are all creatures of habit. Let's face it. Change doesn't come easy for most of us. And I've observed this many times over the years. With your your employment lands you at a Fortune 500 company or a small to mid-sized business, there's some universal truths out there, like how interviews go, how organizations are run, and what you should and shouldn't do to grow your career. And am I a CEO? Hell no. Don't even want the job. Nope. Am I a TED Talk superstar? Nope. Don't want my face up on stage. Not me. A millionaire? Far from it. I'm just an average person with real life experience, and some of where I've gotten to some of it was luck and just working hard. But the one thing that I'm a middle manager. I say I offer you, the listener, a view from the middle class, middle management, middle of the road, average grades. That's me. But for 10 and a half years, I exclusively in a what they call BDR, SDR, sales prospecting role. I hired over 120 new to career, basically 22 to 26-year-olds is what I hired for 10 and a half years. I did over 500 interviews during that time. I've probably done well over 1,000 interviews in my career. And last year was the 10-year mark for me. And so that's where the book came from. But I realized, and the reason why I wrote the book was I realized that I had my own case study on what good looks like to grow your career. When you are interviewing students, interns while they're still in school, interviewing and hiring them when they're coming out of school, and watching them over their career, I was very fortunate that many of the people, almost all, were still with the company even up to the point when I left last September for another opportunity. But all that experience, it gave me so much information. I watched people, come in, their degree was still wet with the ink on it, and I watched them for 6, 7, 8, 9. Some of them were even there the entire time I was there. So I got to see that. So I don't have celebrity endorsements splashed across wherever, my book or anything. But what I do have is a long list of written recommendations on LinkedIn from the new to career hires I've over the years. So you can look me up on LinkedIn, Darren Mell, and read reviews on there and what people that I've worked with over the years. And it was a wonderful experience. I absolutely loved it. And I thought I wanted to give back and try to help more instead of just the people that are coming to interview with me. I realized that there's a whole network of upcoming high school grads, college grads. I have a 26-year-old daughter who is struggling still to find a job. It ain't easy out there, and I know that. What I can promise you is that my experience is real. Every year, a new wave of high school and college graduates enters the working world. And once you're out of school, time moves faster. I guarantee you, faster than you've ever experienced. My goal with this podcast is to help you see that you have the power to take control, make intentional choices, and shape your career into what you want it to be. Whether you're a recent college grad or high school grad or even a parent like me looking to help your kids, I wanted to share my thoughts and observations and suggestions to help anyone figure out their career path. Over these podcasts, some of the things I'm going to cover, I'm going to start with what to do when you're first stepping into the working world. Then we're going to move on to tips for building your brand, acing interviews, and even a guide for some of you that maybe want to be a leader one day. As I've been a leader for the past 20 years, it's been a very rewarding experience, but it's not for everybody. And if it's not your thing, one of the things that I'm going to cover on leadership is helping you to be able to spot a good leader from a bad one, because stepping into a job that makes you miserable and quitting shortly after takes the wind out of your sails. But been there, done that. I'm also going to talk about the importance of finding balance in your life while chasing your dreams. I got to tell you, success is great, but real satisfaction, the kind that touches every part of your life, including your work, is truly what leads to lasting happiness. And lastly, I was going to say that I grew up in the 1970s and went through high school and college in the 70s and 80s into the early 90s, and played in a rock band for a little bit, had the mullet. Movies and music from that time period are still really, really huge to me. And so I may drop some references that you might not understand, but neither did the people that I led for 10 years that were recent college grads that I hired into the role. And the experience that I had, what I want to share with you all is that, and that's why I kind of kicked around and started with a few different titles for the books as well as the podcast. And I think I called it Fearless Not Careerless because a lot of what I've seen, especially when I interview young people, is the amount of fear. They're very fearful. They're always fearful about saying the wrong thing. And I want to offer you, I'm going to help dispel a lot of the myths, and we'll cover that on interviewing as we get further along the podcast here. Some of the other things I'd like to do as well is bring back on some of the people that I've hired over the years that now are 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years out of college or high school, and talk about where they're at now and how they got there and what were the things that they learned along the way to help you make the intentional choices so that you can land where you want to land with your career. I'm really excited about this. I think we can have a lot of fun, and I want this to be a community to share where you all feel empowered by someone that's giving you sort of the inside information of what it's like, because I've worked in corporate America forever, and it can be a soul-sucking adventure and eat you up if you don't set it up that way. So again, like I said, we're going to cover a lot about on balance and balancing your life out as well, because burnt out is not a great way to be. And that's what I wanted to start with today. So I'm self-published. I'm an average human being. That's what I kind of bill myself in my books. I'm here to help you listen and provide guidance from someone that was you 35 years ago, but is a little bit older now, but has definitely learned some things over the years. So thanks for tuning in to the first Fearless Not Careerless podcast. That's a great way to end the first one. And thank you for listening. And if you enjoy the content, feel free to subscribe. My name is Darren Mell. Talk to you next time. This has been the Fearless Not Careerless podcast with Darren Mell. Before you go, remember this. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to move forward with integrity, curiosity, and consistency. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who's building their career too. And if you want more practical insight on leadership, growth, and staying grounded while you rise, subscribe here on Substack, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or anywhere podcasts are welcome. Until next time, be fearless, not careerless. See you next week.